morning. Welcome to the second day of our opportunity to discuss with the news media some of the events that are going on in and around Atlanta, and particularly the Democratic National Convention. One of the things that we do with some frequency in the city is announce new projects. Today we have a particularly good opportunity because when we built the present airport, we left approximately 31 acres of land immediately adjacent to what now has become the world's busiest airport. In that 31 acres, we now have a proposed project that would include, excuse me, an office building, hotel complex, and a beautiful rendition which you see before you. One of the things that's unique about this is that it is an opportunity of public-private partnership. It's an opportunity of an international investor coming in to join us in Atlanta, and we welcome Mr. Walt Huntley, the president of the Atlanta Economic Development Corporation, and the representatives of London Edinburgh Trust. Got to get that Scottish accent right. That are putting together this project, and I'd like for Walt Huntley to make a brief presentation of what this is about.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I'd like to say my name is Walt Huntley, as the mayor indicated. I'm the president of the Atlanta Economic Development Corporation, and we're basically responsible for coordinating the development process involving the Hartsfield Center project. This is our official unveiling of the models, but before I introduce everyone that is here, I need to just, I'm going to basically explain what we have done and give you a little bit of background on the project, okay? This is indeed what we consider to be a true public-private venture, and you will see more about that as we go along. First, on my immediate left, I'd like to introduce Charles Graham. Charles Graham is the Vice President with London and Edinburgh Trust. He handles all of the United States operations here. London and Edinburgh Trust, or LET as we call it, basically is a development company. They work in Europe, the Netherlands, and also in the Far East. On this side of me is John Aiden. John is the senior executive with Balfour Beatty. Balfour Beatty is one of the largest construction and engineering firms in the United Kingdom. They do work all over the world. And both companies firm also seated are several other individuals, Robbie Strong with contract compliance, Angelo Green with finance, and others. We will basically hear from them during the question and answer period to talk more specifically about the project. Now let me just hit on the background. As the mayor said, in 1980, Hartsfield Airport, the new terminal, opened, and we had the dilemma of what should we do with the old terminal. Some developers thought it should be used for exhibition space. Others felt like we could probably use it for some office space related to the airport. Basically, none of that worked out. And in 1984, the old terminal was demolished. And literally, that gave us an opportunity with regard to the fact that we were trying to plan something that has an international aspect to it. Most cities, Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, have tremendous developments around their airport.
Balfour Beatty Developments to begin looking for property development opportunities here. It was also natural for us to look jointly with London and Edinburgh Trust, for we have a long track record of successful projects carried out and being carried out with them in the United Kingdom and throughout Europe. We also have a good few years' experience in working closely with local government in the United Kingdom on urban regeneration projects.
Convention or anything else you want to ask about? I hear this was a slow news day.
Mr. Mayor, do you think that Jesse Jackson is entitled to what he's asking, namely that he be treated differently from other candidates who ran for president but were unable to get enough delegates?
Well, I think that Jesse Jackson is probably asking that there be a different concept of the convention. And I'm not speaking for him, but what I hear him saying and what he has said to me, that rather than a winner-take-all situation where everybody else is ignored, that what we have to do is to reconcile those differences in order to move forward as a united group toward the next election. Now, in some sense, you might say that there has been serious consideration given to the right wing of the party in the nomination of Lloyd Bentsen, but that there's another wing, and I think Jesse's expression is it takes two wings to fly. What I think we're going...
The party might appear not to have the unity that it needs in order to win in November.
Well, I think that's the risk, but I've been very proud of the concern that's been expressed. And if you're asking for, a choice of somebody to just be quiet and let the middle of the party and the right, go their way, and somebody that says, oh no, we're a part of this train too, and we need to get this thing together, we're probably a lot healthier for pulling together the differences. And there's been no talk, I think, of not supporting the ticket or the party. There's simply, I think, a request for a continuing understanding, a continuing dialogue, and really an involvement. And I think that kind of involvement is what brings the kind of commitment that gets a large voter turnout and wins an election.
Ron Brown said today he thought...
Much better to have the understanding out front on both sides. Not only in the election, but governing the next 4 years. I think that one, I know people on both sides.
There's a deadline, the 31st of this month, for approval by City Council as well as the Fulton County Commission. Do you plan to take a step in the mediation process between the ministers and the community and the Georgia Dome Corporation?
Well, I think that there is a process going on, and what we're trying to do is to vote on what we do with the sector. We voted in the county to tax your hotel rooms 1%. That we've got to do this in such a way that it doesn't negatively impact the neighborhoods, and that the churches that are on the property or immediately adjacent to the property are either protected or compensated. And that's been my position all along, and one that we will continue to implement.
Mr. Mayor, Julie Gautier, CBS News, speaking about the seating size.
In terms of accommodating spectators within the Omni. But there's never been a convention that has had 32 football fields of indoor space immediately adjacent to the Omni. And many of the activities, all viewing it from the floor. We will have many more people involved all day long in the convention, and with the, I think it's 103 satellite beam-up operations.
How difficult is it going to be for some people, the old Martin Luther King electorate, to accept the fact that Jesse Jackson has taken the torch?
I don't think that's difficult for people to accept at all. He has earned it. Most of all, he's wanted that mantle. And most of us are content to see him grow into it. In fact, we have prayerfully encouraged.
25 years ago.
I think that Jesse was just as talented, just as aggressive, but he's learned, I think, a remarkable amount of control of his own wishes, and he has really begun to put the needs of the party, the needs of I think Dr. King always understood and always saw
relationship between Jesse Jackson and Martin?
Not really. Jesse came into the movement in 1965. That was after Birmingham and stood that a little bit. But there was never any question about his ability. There was always, and I think still is, a feeling that if you really are, well, we were always suspicious of people who wanted leadership. Much more sane, being scared. And you had a lot of respect for people who were honestly afraid. They knew a problem. The people who were, charging in, trying to change things, didn't care, wasn't aggressive enough. He'd say that it takes people like Jose or like Jesse to get things stirred up. And he said if it was left up to me, people would probably never be free because I would get adjusted to it.
When Jesse Jackson started his political campaign in 1984, as well as now in 1988, many black leaders were reluctant to get behind Jesse Jackson.
Perhaps that was a mistake. I think I trust the democratic process now more than I trust my own judgment. I was sure that Walter Mondale should be president. I didn't know who should be president in 1988. I didn't know who should.